Behold, Dragonstorm Tarkir is upon us, and with it we are going to see some dragon decks re-emerging. That means that some cards are going to move in price based on whether or not they are reprinted in this set. I've got a big selection of dragon cards to go through with you in this video. Hopefully put some stuff on your radar in case you think that it might not be reprinted in Tarkir and you want to grab a copy before we start building the fire-breathing creatures. So many thanks to our Patreon supporters. Your support keeps Jake and Joel Magic going, helping us create in-depth content and work on exciting new projects. If you want to join and get exclusive perks, early access, and a say in future videos, go check out our Patreon and get involved with our community on a deeper level. Jake and Joel Magic is brought to you by Card Conduit, the best place to sell your cards quickly and easily on the internet. TCG Players, the best place to buy them. Dragon Shield's the best way to protect them, and Moxfield's the best way to put your deck lists on the internet. Let's start with our line of Ancient Dragons. We've got one of these for each color, Ancient Gold Dragon being the white one. A lot of times the base copies of these are the least expensive, but sometimes you will see the showcase versions of these being the most affordable. This was the least desirable version of most of these Ancient Dragons that got printed. And so a lot of times if you want to go and get one of these right now for the best price, you're looking at the showcase version here that looks like the D&D rulebook. You can see we've already got some jumps in prices happening even with the lesser desirable Ancient Dragons. Not to throw shade on Ancient Gold, Ancient Silver is here too. You can see this one's up in the like 30 range when we look at the showcase version, which is the cheapest. Also has had this upward trend over the last 3 months, nearly 20% gained in the last 3 months as people are anticipating Tarkir coming out. Ancient Brass Dragon, same thing, about $25 for the showcase. You can see the difference in price here a lot of time between the showcase and the base copy. You're talking a few bucks. Typically, these are around the same price than with your borderless ones and foil versions of these going up from there. When you look at Ancient Brass Dragons chart, nearly 20%. Now, these Ancient Dragons, these are a hard one for me. We know that in Final Fantasy, we're getting a bonus sheet, and one of the cards included on that bonus sheet is Ancient Copper Dragon. Are we going to get all 5 of them on that bonus sheet? Probably not. It's a possibility, never say never, but I doubt it highly. Looking at the chart for Ancient Copper Dragon, you can see this is the most desirable one of these, up 10% over the last 3 months, and we know that some version of a reprint is coming. It's this. It's not everybody's taste for a Magic card, but it will be a version of Ancient Copper Dragon that will be obtainable when Final Fantasy releases for lower than $150, at least in the short term after release if it follows typical trends. There's also one more with the Ancient Dragon cycle, the green one here. Typically the least desirable. You can see $11 on the base copy here. Our showcase scroll is $9.86. Even it's got a 10% uptick over the last 3 months. People are very anticipatory of Dragonstorm Tarkir. Not only is it not Universes Beyond, but it's not seemingly a hat set unless you call Dragon Scales the hat for this set. And I don't. This one feels very traditional and grounded in Magic the Gathering's sort of core identity, we'll say. I won't say originality because we had Arabian Nights. We've had Universes Beyond since the beginning, basically. But Tarkir's got a lot of anticipation because it does seem like a Magic the Gathering, typical set. With that has come all these dragon prices going up. As far as our Ancient Dragons here, bronze is in the lowest sort of pickup range. Copper's already really high, and you saw brass where it's fitting across the board, kind of that 25 to 35 range. You've also got your Silver Dragon, which is up in that 30 to 45 range. And then you've got Gold Dragon being in that $20, $15 to $20. So you kind of have to decide for yourself. We're gonna see these reprinted over the next, 365 days, 2 years, something like that. I would anticipate seeing the best of these reprinted in some way, somewhere, be it a secret layer, be it a bonus sheet, be it a straight up reprint in some sort of Masters or Premier set, so to speak. However, with Tarkir, are they going to pop up there? That's a big question. I know that If they don't, all of these will continue to see sort of that uptrend over the next few months as people hype build dragons, buy the exact copies they want of the cards they need right then. And then once that hype wears off, you'll see the prices come back down. It's a lot like Eldrazi around the sets that had Eldrazi the last 2 years. Those cards spike and then they fall down after that. So right now we're in that sort of upward. You're just going to have to decide for yourself where on that chart is a good buy-in for you, what price you're comfortable with. We also got this legendary Old Gnawbone. This one coming to us from AFR. Old Gnawbone is sort of a staple. This one's good in non-dragon decks that have green, right? A lot of different archetypes. Big Stompy, Reanimator, anything that can take advantage of Old Gnawbone's ability there of having a creature deal combat damage and then create that many treasure tokens. This one's going to be insanely desirable. We got that secret layer version, the borderless version there up in the 50s. Your ampersand promos here, these you don't have to worry about. That's a giant, if you can kind of see the shadow there of it, there's like a giant D&D ampersand on some of these versions that artificially increases the price of them. They look cool, I'll say that, and they're rare. They are definitely scarce. But for me, it wasn't enough of a, look, a different look for it to really launch it. Here, I prefer the borderless version, but even then, you're looking at a 25% increase over the last 3 months for Old Gnawbone. This is a card that we need reprinted immediately. Now, all of that to say, it's not just dragon, straight up dragon cards that are going to be possible to be on your radar. It's dragon adjacent stuff like Nogi, Draco Zealot. Dragon spells cost 1 less to cast, and whenever it attacks, if you control 3 or more dragons, it becomes a dragon with 5/5 and flying until end of turn. Look at this card over the past 3 months. 57% increase, y'all. This card is scarce. You'll see on TCG Player, if there's different versions of a card when you go to a card's main listing, there's this button you can click right there that says all versions so that you can go and look at all the different printings and their prices. There's not that button on our little Draco Zealot buddy here. That's because this is the only place it's been printed. Game Night Free-for-All, a sealed product, a sort of board game style product that was released a couple years back. You've got this one now popping in price because it reduces the mana costs of dragons, which that's a kindred group, that's a creature type that absolutely pops off as far as mana value. At this point, I tried to alert this one a couple of weeks back. It, was already on the climb even then, and now we're nearing that $20. This is probably one, if you've got one, decide if you think it's going to get a reprint and flip that thing. If you don't have one, maybe sit on this one. Maybe look around, see if you can get a good one for trade. If you know you're going to build dragons with red in the mana value, in the color identity, you're going to probably want this card at the very least just as like a 3 mana cost reducer for your dragon spells. And that's not the only one. We've also got Sarkhan Unbroken. You can see on this one there's a little bit of a difference. This card is actually falling in price currently. Now it is a planeswalker, but I think there's something to be said for +1 drawing a card and mana ramping a little bit in a creature type where mana is at an all-time just like desirable level. You need as much of it as you can, or the -2 ability to drop a 4/4 onto the battlefield dragon, mind you, so that it plays with all your synergies. We also got the Mythic Edition or the Spark version here, also in sort of a fall over the last 3 months, nearly 14% down there. But if you want dragons, this is sort of that outward circle that people will eventually get to. Nogi, Sarkhan, cards like this version of Sarkhan, Soul of Flame from March of the Machine. You got a couple of different versions from foil etched down to your cheapest copy, which is your extended. No, it looks like your foil etched is actually cheapest right now by a few cents. 33% up over the past 3 months. People are anticipating this, y'all. Dragon spells you cast cost 1 less, and whenever a dragon enters, you can have Sarkhan become a copy of it until end of turn, except its name's Sarkhan and it's legendary. This one is a auto include as far as I'm concerned, and you've got it in sort of the Dragonstorm and the Tarkir, frame. We've got a new version of the Tarkir frame in our new set that was actually done by Justine Jones. Shout out there. But you can see all versions of Soul of Flame rising currently versus a Planeswalker, which I knew that one's, you know, sort of on the outskirts. It's going down in price, but still cards that you might want to keep on your radar, because if somebody finds a great synergy, especially in Commander, that card's going to pop. But let's look at some dragons, some actual dragons that also are in a good pickup range, I think, right now, for you to decide whether or not you think it's going to get reprinted. Your cheapest version of Dragon Broodmother from Alara Reborn. At the beginning of each upkeep, you put a 1/1 dragon creature token into play, and it's got Devour 2, which means you can sack any number of creatures, and it comes in with twice that many +1/+1 counters on it. Good for token decks, potentially really good for dragon decks as well. Around $5 right now, but it has been rising over 3 months, as you can see. Utvara Hellkite. We've seen this one in a couple of different Ravnica sets, a Commander set. Also got a Secret Lair version of it. I'm looking at versions like the anime Borderless. Like, that version of Utvara Hellkite looks so sick to me. And the market tends to agree, up nearly 40% over 3 months. If you got any of these in the Ravnica Remastered set, that or the Retro, probably time to look at those and go, I'm glad I just shoved those in the notebook, because they're up 50% and have turned into some insane trade bait. Looking at your cheapest possible copy or original Return to Ravnica Mythic version here, even it is slightly up. It popped and retraced a little bit over the last 3 months, but 12% overall, not bad. And then you're going to get into your versions like this, where people are going to be interested in differentiating their look in their deck. And so right now, I'd be concentrated on looking through my extra cards from Ravnica Remastered that I didn't get, and grabbing that anime Borderless Utvara Hellkite that I wasn't 100% sure was going to be anything that I cared about, and was kind of topped out at like $10 for a while. But suddenly we're up towards 16 and in the middle of a climb. So I like that one a lot. Also like Astral Dragon. Look, no other versions, y'all. We've got an extended, I think, of Astral Dragon, and that's pretty much it. When it enters the battlefield, y'all, you create 2 tokens that are copies of target non-creature permanent, except they're 3/3 dragons in addition and have flying. That's insane. This is bringing 3 dragon bodies onto the battlefield, and 2 of the dragon bodies you can get crazy with and copy a non-creature permanent twice, getting all of the extra value of that. All of these charts look very similar, y'all. This is a trend. This is a movement right now. Getting ready for Tarkir. You're sort of at your last chance as far as I'm concerned. I mean, look at that chart, y'all. This card just bottomed out. It was nothing for the longest time, and now it is popped like crazy. This is one of the biggest growers. If you're sitting on Astral Dragons, this one, it feels like is a really solid possibility for a reprint at some point this year. With all of the focus on dragons and dragon commanders, we know that with sets like this that focus really hard on a creature type specifically, or some kind of mechanic, they're going to print support for that throughout the year, and maybe even leading up to it. You find a lot of times there were cards seeded in the previous 2 sets or the 2 sets after that's like, oh man, that'd be really good with the dragon deck that I just built from Dragonstorm. And so whether or not it's in Tarkir, or we see it in one of the sets later this year, or maybe even a Secret Lair, Astral Dragon, I think, is pretty high on the meter for a reprint right now, especially since we haven't seen it since 2022, and this is such a focus for us. And then we've also got Klauth, Unrivaled Ancient. I don't know if you've ever played dragons as a deck, but this card is insane and can lead to just some insane turns. Around $12 right now. We've got a 3-month slight growth, so it's interesting to see where this one's going to fall. It's a legend, and so I feel like the reprintability of it is a little bit lower. But with Klauth, whenever it attacks, add X mana in any combination of colors, where X is the total power of attacking creatures. Spend the mana to cast spells only, and until in a turn you don't lose the mana. It's got flying and haste, so it can do this the turn it comes down. This is the kind of thing Klauth can send you over the top in a big way. Huge mana increaser here that you definitely need to keep an eye on, especially since it's not, look at that. Over the last 6 months, this one's actually down 14%. So it's not that terrible of a pickup right now. And if you think you're going to play dragons with red and green in them, I'd highly recommend this card. Those are a bunch of the dragons that I've got some question marks on, or I think that the possibility of reprint is pretty good. Let's look at some things that I'm pretty sure are not going to get reprinted, and you need to figure out how to grab yourself a copy if you want a copy. Let's talk about Foundations. So there's a video either out or coming out soon that I made about the Foundations collector boxes not being printed anymore. We kind of knew that was coming, but it's been confirmed at this point. So all of your versions, your showcase, your mana foils here, these are just going to continue to go up in price because these are the exclusive things to the collector box. The mana foil treatment, the Japanese showcase, and the Japanese showcase in the fractured foil. However, your base copies, your Foundations play boxes, and all the cards that are available in those are going to continue to be printed over the next umpteen years, however long Foundations is legal. I think it's going to be legal until I'm on my deathbed. Twinflame Tyrant is an insanely powerful dragon. It absolutely belongs in all your dragon decks with red in them. Right now, around 22 bucks is the best price that you can get for one. It is climbing currently. I think this is just Tarkir hype, but know that over the next couple of months, a lot more play boxes of Foundations specifically is going to be hitting the market. And so your base copies are going to be more obtainable. Any of the versions that are in play boxes or openable in play boxes are going to settle out a little bit more. So I wouldn't panic on getting a Twinflame Tyrant yet, but we do know this one's not getting reprinted. That would be kind of crazy if 2-3 sets later they're reprinting major mythics from a set that's still going to be in print in some way. And so I'm pretty confident that you're going to need to go find a copy of Twinflame Tyrant, and there's not really a lot of like, is this going to be reprinted to consider with this one. Same thing with Terror of the Peaks. This was just reprinted last year in Outlaws of Thunder Junction as a base set mythic. We didn't get a special version of it, so to speak, other than our Secret Lair Showdown Terror of the Peaks. This is an RCQ promo. I'm going to have to look up exactly where we get it from, but it's some competitive play promo from this year, and that's the only other version of it, notably with RKF art on it. Terror of the Peaks, the reprintability of this one at this point, in my opinion, is low. It's especially not going to pop up in a standard set. Maybe Special Guest, maybe Secret Lair, though that would be kind of crazy to put a card in a Secret Lair a year after it was printed as a mythic in a main core line standard set. But crazier things have happened. Terror of the Peaks, you're gonna want a copy. I would try and figure out how to get this one and reprint it. Ability is going to be very, very low. And then I've got a really cheap one that I think could end up being cool. If there is a Jund Dragons deck that pops up really crazy and people are just loving it, Gluttonous Hellkite is a fantastic card for it. Just a few cents on this one, but you can see an increase of 13% up to 17 cents recently. Super cheap here. But y'all, when you cast the spell, each player sacrifices X creatures. Gluttonous Hellkite enters the battlefield with 2 1/1 counters on it for each creature sacked this way, and it's flying and trample. This one's a really fun one. Just reprinted, or just printed for the first time in the Commander Modern Horizons 3 deck. One other one that I really like was from Bloomburrow, and that's Dragonhawk Fates Tempest. When it enters or attacks, you exile the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of creatures you control, power 4 or greater. Easy in a dragon deck. You can play those cards until your next end step, and at the beginning of your next end step, Dragonhawk deals 2 damage to each opponent for each of those cards that are still exiled. Some good card advantage, some good residual damage. I think dragon players are going to want this one. Most of the dragon decks, or a lot of the dragon decks, have red in them, and so as people go, oh, I need to go back to Bloomburrow and grab that red mythic, look at your versions like the borderless one here that people are going to be putting their eyes on soon. Up 8% over 3 months, near mint $8 for a non-foil copy. I would also be looking at these. Some cards that probably will get reprinted, some cards that probably won't get reprinted. Let me know down in the comments which dragons I missed, which dragons you think need to be on our radar so we can talk about them and get everybody caught up to speed before this set comes out. We're super hyped for this set. Gonna have a lot of coverage. Make sure you're subscribed if you want Tarkir coverage as it's coming out and financial breakdowns. All these people are already supporting us over on Patreon. Go check out our Patreon, see if it's a good fit for you. Lots of perks, rewards, and exclusive access to us for signing up and supporting us directly over there. Until then, catch you in Tarkir.